I remember coming to the Wilton to see GTO,
That's
which
it.
was, of course,
Yeah.
the band you had with Steve Howe
Steve Howe.
and various other members who I don't
Yeah.
remember
Yep.
exactly who all of they were, but and yeah, I saw that show and enjoyed it, and I remember that was a peculiar night for me because I actually had a girlfriend at that time, and my ex-wife came in from London with the kids, and so I had an evening with the girlfriend and the ex-wife and the kids, which was a little surreal.
Yeah.
But the modern progressive family, um, but I do believe in the 80s because I think that was a 90s thing, wasn't it? GTR, or was it
Well,
an 80s thing?
It's. I think the year could have been 1986. It could have been 85. My memory gets a bit hazy. Between 84 and 85.
Yeah, well, we of course did Rock in Rio in '85. Were you there for that?
I wasn't there for that one. No, I would have gone to see you had I been there. But
But I think it was after that. So
Yeah,
maybe
okay.
GTR was the first
I
time.
think it was. Yeah.
Yeah, and then saw you again in Brazil.
But of course, I'd seen Yes several times on stage. Saw you guys at the Marquee in the 60s. At the Albert Hall, which was the Farewell Cream
Right.
show,
Yeah.
and was once, I think, was it the Usher Hall? Yes, we're playing it once, and I think we were playing it the following night. It was literally, Yes doing Relayer, Genesis doing Lamb Night Down on Broadway,
Right.
but we hadn't
No,
met.
and I have to say I never ever saw Genesis live. Although of course I saw the videos and
Yeah.
the TV appearances, but I never was fortunate enough to be at a show.
Yeah.
But we were all very busy in those days.
Well, yeah.
So it was very unlikely that one saw any other band
Yeah,
unless you were on the same bill.
yes.
So it's all
Yeah, but
parochial, really.
Yes were a great band live when I saw them. It's fantastic. So are a great band, and always really sort of well drilled, well oiled, and Genesis. We used to think, if only we were that tight, But we were. We sort of jostled along with our timing in those days, and these guys were in tune and in time simultaneously, which was quite a feat, we thought.
Well, yeah, it took a bit of practice.
How did you manage? Yeah, it was practice. Right. Okay.
And some days were tighter than others, I'm sure.
Oh well, yes.
And of course, we had that period in the early '70s where Bill Bruford was Yes's original drummer, and that was sort of one sort of style of Yes, which sort of changed quite a bit when Alan White came in as a drummer, because he was a 180 degrees different from Bill, and that was, there was a bit of a bumpy period in the changeover there, where we wouldn't have been so tight.
Right.
But after a while, of course, Alan and I formed a relationship, and the wheels got back on the track.
Both great drummers, I thought.
Both great drummers,
Yeah. Because we got to work with Bill when Phil took over on vocals with Genesis. Bill joining us for a while after he'd left or broken up Crimson,
Right.
one of their many incarnations or discarnations.
Well, I actually remember because that Phil was a huge fan of Bill's when he was young.
Yeah.
I think he was religiously at the Marquee Club every week that Yes played there in our early days.
Yeah.
To sort of see Bill, and was quite often in the Yes dressing room, rapping away drummer rap. And
the Buddy Rich songbook, they were both going through that, weren't they?
Probably.
How far are you down the line? I'm on page 83B.
So we knew Phil from a pretty young age, actually. I'm sure he was still in his teens at that time. Might be wrong, but he seemed very young.
No, I'm sure he was. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Phil came from theatrical school that his mother ran with Barbara Speake.
Yeah.
So he was making films and singing in Oliver, and became a drummer
Right.
practically by stealth, because he was really set up to be the all singing, dancing, which is what he did later, of course, in a way.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, anything you want to have a quick chat about the future of prog, or
the future of prog?
Doing? What you think?
Well, I don't know. Maybe I should ask Chris what he's what you're doing at the moment and what's next. I mean, Yes did an album, of course.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Since are you still running?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. Since the Squackett album, Yes, of course, released a new album called Fly From Here, and that was something I was very pleased with. From a Yes standpoint too, because it was great to work with Trevor Horn again, who of course was at one point the singer in Yes for one album, and then also produced 90125, which is our biggest selling album in the 80s, and you know, we've always had a really good time in the studio because we tend to agree on a lot of direction when we're working together. And Steve Howe was also very happy, and we at that point in time we had a new singer in the band, Canadian Benoit David, and he did a really good job, and of course along with Alan White and Jeff Downs, Steve's old mate from Asia, came in on the keyboards. So very happy with that album, and it got good critical acclaim as well, and we've been touring that for a year. And strangely enough, Benoit decided that the life wasn't really for him of being a lead singer in a band. And so we now have a new lead singer named John Davison, who is really excellent, lovely guy to work with. And it appears that in the spring we're going to be doing this crazy tour, which incorporates a cruise, I believe, from somewhere in Florida, I think Fort Lauderdale, to Jamaica for 3 days, called the Cruise to the Edge. And strangely enough, Steve, with his new Genesis project, is also going to be on this tour. So the possibility of maybe a couple of Squackett tracks showing up might be live, might be possible on that.
Yeah, I mean, it seems that, you know, our paths keep crossing, so we'll all be in the same boat, literally. So it's a cheap, shocking.
He worked on that line all night.
Oh, the other one is Proggers of the Caribbean, of course. You know, which would be the other thing. But seriously, I thought talking about Trevor Horn, that 90125 was a great album. It was probably, well, it was one of the best of the 1980s. It had obviously really been thought about, and I think both Trevors on that, both Trevor Horn and Trevor Rabin of guitar fame was, you know,
good combination.
Great sounding album, very unusual, full of detail, just the sort of stuff I love. It obviously took forever, and
probably
it cost the Bank of England and
something like that, but you know, sometimes it's worth it, and in that case it was. You know? So future of prog, huh? Who knows? Let's see.
Are you prog anymore?
Well, I think we are. I think that's generally. I remember we were art rock when we started off, according to the NME and the Melody Maker in the 70s. But then somebody came up with this prog rock term, and that sort of stuck. And that's sort of the accepted term now for what we do.
We were art rock, then we were art deco. No, sorry, that's terrible. George Martin said we've just a new act called Art Deco. No. But anyway, yeah, it's been great working with Chris. It's been a lot of fun.
I think at some point we might do another album.
We may well
do that.
You
know, when we go, I've got a couple of songs.
You see, we haven't done any of it live, so in a way, it's always at that level, but it's never fallen below a certain standard. You know, a fabulous production, fabulous playing, marvelous singing.
Yes, it's good. That's another thing we discovered. That our voices sounded really good together. You know, made a really nice noise.
Yeah,
and
we both loved harmonies.
Yeah, and once again, credit to Roger King for kind of the texture of the vocal blends and everything. On the album.
Yeah, I think it sounds sweeter with the passing of time as well, because there was a 5.1 mix done of the album, which I only ever heard once, which was when it was originally done by Roger, and it sounded fantastic. Tall Ships sounds wonderful in 5.1. You get all the extra. You suddenly realise how much detail there was on it. 5,000 tracks. All happening at once.
But yet, there's a lot of space in that track too. So
yes.
Once again, credit to Roger for the production.